All right, so a couple months ago, I saved up enough clams that I could finally purchase the wood hinge drill bit kit. You insert a dowel into the end of these receptacles, and there's a drill bit on the inside that perfectly centers the hole so that when you put the welder's rod inside the dowels, you get a perfectly centered rod and the hinge operates nice and smoothly. Well, factory dowels don't come exactly 1/4 of an inch, and some of them don't fit in there, and some of them are too loose, giving you some slop. So you have to be able to make or control the quality of your dowel, and the best way to do that is to make your own dowels, especially if you want to match the stock of wood that you're building your project out of. So it's just been sitting on a shelf because I haven't had the time to create a doweling jig yet. But about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was just in a woodcraft store and I was looking for a nice piece of hardwood that also had some oily content to it so that it could self-lubricate. And I found this beautiful piece. It wasn't beautiful when I bought it. This is Suriname Ironwood. Suriname's a small little country on the northern tip of South America. It's an extremely hard wood. The Jenka scale ranking on it's about 5,000 to 5,500. Planing it down, this finish came off my hand plane, which I sharpened by hand. You can kind of see some reflection in there, but that surface came off of my Wood River number 6 that I received from Rob Cosman's Purple Heart program. And I bought a long piece of it so that I could turn this into 4 different sizes. I'm going to have my 1/4 inch doweling jig here. On the back side down here, I'll have the 3/16. Up here I'll have 3/8, and down here I'll have the 1/2 inch. So I can get 4 jigs out of one piece of wood. Now I did something different than most of the videos. Instead of just setting a plain blade on the top and clamping it down, I decided to recess that area so that I can get the same registration every single time I set up the tool. So after drilling a hole through here with a brad point bit, I used backing on there so nothing blew out on the backside. And that's my little Harbor Freight drill right there that I did it with. If you set up your tools right, you can get good results even out of crappy tools, or at least cheap branded tools. So the recess itself, to get down to this point where I could expose the top edge of that, I put a bit in there, a 1/4 inch bit, left it in there, and then I used this old Stanley number 71 router plane that I restored a couple years ago, and sharpened up the blade nice and sharp. I had to sharpen it a couple times to get through this, and then just used a marking knife and a chisel to kind of go down one layer at a time to find my edges, route a little bit more out, to find the edges again, route a little bit more out. It took about 2 hours to get that done. It wasn't a waste of time for me because this is all just therapy. So this fits perfectly in there. It can slide back and forth, but there's hardly any movement side to side. So I've scribed a little line on here, right there. And when the blade is lined up with the end of that line, I can put my clamp on there, and it's set perfectly for the wood to come in. Little chamfer there for it to start. This outer edge catches the high spots, and the further it goes in, it whittles it down until the point where it stops making contact, and that point is at exactly 1/4 of an inch. So here's the first dowel I ran through it. This was out of poplar, and it's tough to see in the video, but it is perfectly smooth. Great results. And I'll try and set this camera up here. Let's see what I can do here. Turn that on. Zero it out. Look at that, 1/4 inch dowel. I've got one of these big pencil sharpeners for construction pencils. Once I mount the wood stock inside my drill, I just put this on the end and run it through for a split second to give the end a little bit of a taper. Insert it in there, and then use the drill and a light push. I found if you push too hard, you'll break the dowel. So just a light push, let the tool work. And then this ironwood is naturally oily, so on the inside it kind of self-lubricates. I've got a nice clean hole all the way through there. And yeah, it came out just perfect. Then the dowel fits perfect, like there's no slop at all in that going into there. And I've already pre-drilled this one. So I got a perfect little hole. If I could get the camera to focus, right in the center of my dowel. So now all I got to do is set up the drill bits and create a groove for it to sit in, and I've got to get a little bit of welder's rod so I can actually make a hinge. But I think the hardest part of making 1/4 inch hinges is now done. I've got to do the same for the other sizes. Kind of excited to do it though, because it was a nice, quiet, enjoyable activity. All right, thanks guys, later.